I would like to thank all survivors, wherever they come from. I would like to welcome all survivors groups that has blessed us today with their attendance. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank the audience and friends of the Bethany Home campaign that ran when we had a plain sheet of paper with one person. So now we're starting to lose count with the amount of people that we've got. I would like to thank Niall Meehan, and there's another guy, Victor Stevenson from Northern Ireland. I thank you all so much for your help. I hope the stone that has taken blood and sweat for the last 16 years will make Dublin proud, make Ireland proud, and make us proud. Thank you. Chance meeting on an aircraft in the middle of the air, I had the great fortune of meeting this man. And it's like God blessed us. He's the guy you can thank and the world can thank for a wonderful creation of our memorial. Well done, Daniel. I'm so blessed with you.
As the first citizen of Dublin, it is an honour for me to be present to mark the unveiling of this fitting memorial to these Irish citizens from the Bethany home. We are here to remember them first and foremost, because they were destined to be forgotten, consigned to unmarked ground, with no headstone to mark the fact that these 222 names represent once living, breathing human beings. If for no other reason, we are here to right that particular wrong. Justice is something we all strive for, but before justice comes recognition. Irish society today recognises what Irish society in past decades wished to hide, behind closed doors where young women were banished and punished for breaking the rules. They were destined to go to a place that also catered for prisoners, for they were prisoners too of prejudice and of fear. These young women were punished for a time, and their children in many cases for all of their lives, however long in the case of Derek and other Bethany home survivors, or short in the case of the children buried here in the Mount Jerome cemetery. Disturbing evidence suggests that these children did not have to die. The public controversy at the time surrounded the unusual level of illness and mismanagement of that illness in the Bethany home. The response of our state, I'm sorry to say, was to ignore the illness and death, and instead of adhering to responsibilities, the state re-established instead a sectarian status quo where differing adherents of the same Christianity were instructed to tend only to their own patch. In that way, illness and death were ignored. What we see here marks not an end, but a beginning, a reminder in stone that there is work to be done, and that it is not work merely for the survivors of Bethany home or their relatives and friends. It is work for all of us to see that justice is done, that all are treated equally, whether above or in this case, tragically, below ground. Thank you.
Could I just make a personal comment? I'm the only public representative here today, I think, who comes from the Southern Protestant community. And it is a stain on our past that children were so treated. For many years, like most people, I thought that this was something that happened in Catholics' homes, and it was a real shock for me, coming from that community, to see that the same sort of injustice had happened to people in a place like the Bethany home. And I just want to express my deep sorrow to all those who suffered, and to thank Derek, Niall and all the others associated with the Bethany home for their work in ensuring that a proper memorial would be created here in Mount Jerome today. Thank you.
Much less could we have imagined that the souls, the mortal remains of over 200 babies and children lay in this cemetery unmarked and unrecognised. We couldn't have imagined either that the state was complicit in the neglect of those children. So today is a very significant day, a very emotional day, a day of reckoning in many ways for those children and for every woman and every child that passed through Bethany. Like others, I want to pay tribute, and no words really do justice or can fully capture the sheer heroism and stamina of the survivors of the Bethany home. And Derek Leinster has become their mascot, their champion, their voice, and he deserves a tremendous tribute here today. We owe you a debt of gratitude, Derek, for your work. Likewise, Neil Meehan. And it is now way past time for the state to recognise, to apologise, and to offer redress to the survivors of the Bethany home. Daniel Mulvihill, whom you heard playing the fiddle earlier on and who has created the memorial, is not just a tremendously talented man, he's also an incredibly generous person. And he has asked me to present this. I might step out to show it to you, I'm too small. This carving for Derek, and it represents here two small children, such as you will see on the monument, the very essence of innocence in childhood. And he's carved out the word above it, thank you. And so I present this to you, Derek, from Daniel, but I think from all of us, to you and to all of the survivors, to say thank you for your enlightenment, for your bravery, and long may you continue to be the most difficult of the difficult.
Trade unions drawn from all communities across the island of Ireland are united in our abhorrence of what happened to those children who were vulnerable. We are united in our insistence that what happened was wrong. We are united in our insistence that justice and official recognition be secured for the Bethany survivors. We will continue to press those who have political, religious and institutional influences and power to step up to their responsibilities and ensure the Bethany survivors gain their rightful place in an agreed redress scheme. Survivors of many forms of institutional abuse across the island of Ireland in the two jurisdictions are amongst the bravest and most honourable people, and we are proud to support them. Thank you.
The names of the children will not only be inscribed on the stone outside, but also will appear publicly on the internet. It may be that there are people out there who are not aware that a child, a relative of theirs, was born in and died in the Bethany home. They may not even be aware of the fact that a relative was forced to give birth in secret and to hide away while they were giving birth, and their child destined to be taken away. Some may be comfortable in coming along and grieving at the memorial stone, and that will give the children, even if it isn't death, something that they never had and something that they deserved, because, as the Lord Mayor said, all children, all people deserve at least a name on a headstone after they die. The Bethany Home survivors, and those of the West Bank orphanage as well, a lot of children born in Bethany went on to West Bank, see this today as a job done. A job done for those who did not survive. The next job...
Coming from Northern Ireland, coming from a Protestant and evangelical background, coming from a sense of knowing that such institutions as Bethany and other places were publicly funded and supported by private donation. But what happened, I think, was not known and never fully realised by those who in good faith gave money and donated. That doesn't excuse in any way the great hurt, the great wrong that took place. And I think today's short and simple service, I hope, will acknowledge that never again, may it be our prayer leaving here today, never again would any mother, would any family face what was delivered onto them in terms of lifestyle or what became as a consequence of very misguided care and assistance. I want to, on my own behalf, thank you sincerely for those who have involved themselves in the campaign, particularly people like Derek and Niall and so many others, and to say that on a personal basis I want to join with them and pledge myself to give whatever continuing assistance I can to further address the issues that were so harshly and so cruelly dealt with in years before. But now you have proper recognition, now you have proper acknowledgement, and I hope and trust that we can move forward on this day.
Listen to the accent. You'll say, what's she doing here? Scottish? No, Limerick born. My mother fell into the system and had connections with Bethany. Now, I was adopted out of what was West Bank Home. I had a wonderful adoptive home, but constantly taken back and forward on holiday, get that, to mix with those who had survived Bethany, been ejected from Bethany and put into Meehan that became West Bank. I more or less grew up with a lot of these people. I have kept tabs, and as I grew, I actually felt almost compelled. Once I knew that I wasn't an orphan, that I had a mother and I had brothers and sisters somewhere, and but I was a witness as I grew of what went on. I was always aware, but always told, never, never tell. My answer to that is never tell lies. No matter how good you think you are, no matter how upstanding you think you are. I was brought up evangelical, under the sound of the gospel, but my life almost fell apart when I found out what had happened to my mother. And I went on, I traced, I found out more and more about Bethany, and the more I found out, the more appalled I became that a lot of people who stood and told me how to conduct my life had in private been wreaking devastation on young lives. I was a mother by that time. I treasure my children. You have no idea how much I treasure my own children. I'm also a proud Irish citizen now. I fought very hard to get my citizenship back that I thought had been wrested for me. So I'm very proud to stand before you today with my lovely Scottish accent and say, I feel now, this day of all days, seeing this done full circle. And I want to pay tribute to everyone that's here and everyone who has spoken so nicely. But I want us never, ever to forget what happened. Thank you very much.
But not only did I survive the Bethany home, I survived a defunct Protestant home in Dunganstown, County Wicklow, where I grew up in rags and in Hungary and left school at the age of 13, unable to read or write, and caught a boat when I was 18 with £10 before I got the boat. Before I left Dublin, I had to spend some of that £10 on a boat to get to Holyhead. I had no idea that people wore watches for a purpose other than for ornamental reasons. I didn't realise it was to be here and there at that time stated. That was a big shock to my system. And of course, being a reject and dumped, I was very rebellious. I wouldn't accept Paddy. You can call me Paddy if I have that as a Christian name, but if I haven't, you will call me by my name, or you can forget about it. I'm still the same today. But I was blessed by God to have met a woman, Carol Leinster, my wife. We can all talk about what we can do and how we do it, but it's very true what they say. There's always a great woman that's even better and greater than the person that's standing spouting about something this, that or the other. That's my wife, Carol. But I am very blessed, irrespective. Even though I've gone into a field at night and stole spuds and put the stalks back so they looked as if they hadn't been disturbed, because that's how poor I was. Thank you. This day is their day. They never had. They didn't want much, just to be treated the same as their other little Irish citizens, brothers and sisters, that they was treated so differently from. But they were all taken away. But they did pay a terrible price, as did the survivors, and some more than others. On this day, we demand the state and treat us fully. This is a wonderful day, it's a wonderful start. But you know, they haven't said that they're sorry for us. Mr. Taoiseach, we need you to say that loud and clear, and starting from today.
The Lord is full of compassion and mercy, slow to anger and of great goodness. As a father is tender towards his children, so is the Lord tender to those. And we now commit his body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, in sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life, through our Lord Jesus Christ, who will transform our bodies, that they may be conformed to his glorious body, who died and was buried and rose again for us. To him be glory forever and ever.